Hello gainers, Ralphie here with some fitter philosophy, focusing on the philosophy at the moment rather more than the physical fitness, because we've done plenty of that. Now, I've got a question for you. It's a rhetorical question. In other words, I ask the question, but I don't expect you to answer because I'll be answering it myself. Splendid. Right, we're on a walk and talk, so let's do some walking. It's a lovely day. The wind's a little bit cool, but I've walked a couple of miles already, and I'm just getting my head into the perfect space to record one of these videos. And my rhetorical question is quite simply, what matters more, the life in our years or the years in our life? Good question. I've been asked this several times. It's been a useful discussion, actually, to get things getting discussed. With whiskey evenings, once you've had a few wee drams just to loosen up the old grey cells and loosen up the tongue. And it's not actually a very good question. It would be a much better question to ask. What matters more? What you make of life, or no, that's not right. That's right. I'm going to start that one. Do you mind? Can you bear with me? I'm going to start that one again. The original rhetorical question was, what matters more, the life in our years or the years in our life? When in fact the real question is, how do we make the most of putting life in our years and more years in our life? Now, this assumes that we want to experience more of life. Probably because we're having generally quite a positive experience. That doesn't apply to everybody. It also is a case that people are different, much more different than you and I might realise and anticipate. Superficially, on the outside, humanoids look very similar. However, on the inside, there is far more variety. Scientists, psychologists have identified that there are numerous human types, personality types, from the common to the less common, to the well understood, to the downright perplexing. It's part and parcel of the singleness of us being us. So, really, when it comes to life in our years, it suits some people more than it suits others. There are people, we're coming up to a really nice river. Do you mind if we stop for a minute? It's absolutely beautiful, and I want to show you. I'll sit in this is a bridge stone, there, where I'm pointing, on the bridge, which is deliberately designed traditionally for people to have a rest. And in Celtic folklore, it was a very safe place to be spiritually, because sitting in over open water, I cannot be attacked by evil spirits. Now, there is this illusion that you have the material West and the mystical East. And it is an illusion. It's a trick of convenience to help us not explore our boundaries. And in fact, there is a mystical West and there is a material East, which we don't hear so much about. So please be aware of that. But here am I, sitting on the seat stone in the middle of the bridge, over water, so halfway between one side of the river and the other. So the witches can't attack me, which is good. Not that I'm expecting anything on a day like this. And there is the river. It's called the Ballaglass River. What's really nice about it is the lack of pollution, no litter, because where you have fewer people, you have less disruption to the natural environment. It's a fact, gainers. Back to that question I was asking, rhetorically, what matters more, the years in our life or the life in our years? Well, we've already established it depends on the personality type. It depends whether you have a quiet person who has a lack of imagination, and who is content, truly content, to live a very simple, unexplored life which others would regard as completely boring, full of routine, full of repetition. For some people that really suits them, and they may get to the end of their life having had many years, and we might consider that, hey, well, they didn't do anything with their life, they didn't jump out of planes, they didn't go sub-aqua diving in coral reefs, they didn't go exotic holidays, they didn't go out to restaurants, and they didn't complete crossword puzzles. So did they have a boring life? Not necessarily, because inside their container they have been content. There are people on the flip side of this coin who appear to have exciting lives. They do jump out of planes, they do dive in coral reefs, and you and I would love to do that. And you know, many of us have the opportunity these days, which is a wonderful thing about modern life. But even doing that, they're not content, they're not satisfied. It's literally they're scratching an itch, and it's not as if while they're doing it they even notice the detail of what's happening. And this is something fundamental, is observation. It's all very well having an exciting life, but if you don't have the ears to hear it, the eyes to see it, the time and the patience with time to spend fundamentally engaging with it, enjoying it, why bother doing it at all? And there are people like that. It's basically a notch on the board. It's a little trophy hunt that they become a black belt in karate without ever really sympathizing with those around them or what they're doing. There are those who are very ambitious in their career, and they end up getting very well paid sitting in an office for being completely unproductive, which is what many managers do, and having the most appalling, boring job, which they then consider that, well, the compensation is the money, I can go these holidays, I can buy this car, I can upgrade to this bigger house in a better area. But it becomes a depleting, unvirtuous circle. It becomes something that is stagnating in itself, and their lives, despite the opportunity, are bland. The flip side is that you get just a wee seat. Hello there. Do you want to be in it? That's my postie, Steve, as he's driving away. As he's...
Have you got nobody that can do that for you?
You what, sorry? No. Are you sure you don't want to give a wee wave to the fans? You don't? Okay. I'm not going to impose it on you.
Yeah, well.
See you, Steve. Steve's my postie. He's a good postie. He's one of these cheery posties that, you know, gives you a smile when he delivers the mail. He's doing his rounds. Right. Where was I? Yeah, you know, there's some folk that we pass in or we meet in life, and they seem very humble and they seem to have very little. They seem to be of very modest means, and generally they're very quiet people. But once you start chatting to them, you discover that they're having the most fascinating and interesting lives, which you can barely perceive as being livable. I knew one chap who was a street sweeper when I lived in Glasgow, and he was a gold panner, and he was so good at instinctively knowing where to find gold that he was actually, while holding down a street sweeping job, he would fly out to other countries around the world to give his input into gold prospecting. Then he'd fly back, and then he'd pick up his brush, put on his high-vis jacket, and he'd go back to sweeping the streets. And I asked him, why are you doing this? And his answer was simple: because it's a stress-free job that I enjoy doing, and frankly, money doesn't bother me, and I don't need the money, and I'm quite happy. So, there's someone that's putting years in his life. So, I'll just conclude by saying, it's very easy to ask the wrong question of ourselves, or to others. My original question, rhetorical, was what matters more, life in your years or years in your life? And the answer is to remove the more. Both are valid, but ideally both together. But under our own terms, in a way which is comfortable for us, which taps into our skills, but at the same time, which offers us some challenges, but finally gives us the opportunity to explore contentment. A humble aspiration, contentment. To have enough, malt mates and gainers, because I know there's malt mates watching. To have enough is to have a lot, and to have too much of the wrong thing is a curse. I hope you found this philosophical. I'm Ralphie. Thanks for watching. Pop back again and I'll have some more content for you soon. Bye bye.